Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We were a little delayed getting into our second game of the night. The teams were, well, we were off to a slow start, mostly because of pauses, and then the teams had some issues loading into the lobby. So, alas, here we are. It will be MSI versus Arrow for our second game of the night. And, well, MSI just suffered an unfortunate defeat. Hopefully they can shrug it off and try something different against Arrow Gaming here, Blaze.
Yep, they are going to be having their full roster as far as I can tell. Obviously, Jules is kind of labeled as a stand-in, but I mean, he's such a good player in the Philippine scene that you can't expect this guy to go without a team for too long. So maybe it's going to be an unofficial roster shift or just the stand-in status for Jules. In either case, they do have Bayabas back on the offlane, presumably. Instead of Zero, he was running a stand-in status for them last time around. And although they had some good turnaround potential, they were just unable to bring the game long enough to make things happen. But now they're going to actually get something that will work for them in the earlier stages, kind of a lane dominator in the Viper pick, and they might be able to put a little bit more emphasis on the early game. And it's interesting that Ancient Apparition comes out for the side of Arrow Gaming here, because although obviously we've seen a lot of great play from the supports from Arrow, Ancient Apparition is not a hero that you generally want to pick up against a Viper. Good against the mech aspect of the hero, if he does pick up the mechanism, but all the same, the corrosive skin is a pretty good mitigating factor to deny the shatter.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, just the first picking Ancient Apparition is there really a strong chance of him being banned out or picked up by the opposition? That's one of those heroes that I feel like you can roll the dice with in terms of seeing if he makes it through the banning stage and look forward to something maybe a little bit more in high demand for those first two picks.
10 seconds.
Yep, the Invoker going to come out and give a little bit of a global strat here. We're probably going to be seeing DDZ take that Invoker to the mid lane, and that Exort build just works so damn well on somebody who can land those precise stun strikes, make things happen early. So I'm really excited to see what happens there. The pure damage won't be mitigated by Viper either, so if he doesn't have to use it globally, he can just use it on his lane opponent, and that'll be pretty interesting. Not too much reserve time on the sides of either side, actually. They were about 15 minutes delayed, so 40 seconds was the reserve time bank, and already we see 28 of those seconds eaten up by MSI. So they're not going to be randoming any picks, hopefully, but they will be kind of playing a little bit of speed chess here as far as putting the pieces in play.
Yeah, both teams on that front. Now, MSI will ban out the Void, Arrow with the Brewmaster, two heroes that I would think of as higher priority than the Ancient Apparition, but they'll make it through and get banned out here, and well, we'll just have to be a little bit patient. I feel like Arrow are probably working towards a bit of wombo combo here, and that's where first picking that Void alongside the Invoker lets you kind of build around that and grab the Ancient Apparition and other things to dump into the Chrono, but maybe they have a completely different strategy in mind.
We'll have to see. For right now, they are just going to be going for the kind of lane global stuff, but they have to kind of get their heroes that can set up Ancient Apparition, set up Invoker, set up those stuns. So the ones in our Arrow Gaming's arsenal are the Wraith King, which we see here as the immediate snap up out of the ban, and the other one would have been the Sand King, is very commonly used when they go combo it with Ancient Apparition. So those two in particular are the ones they like to pick up, but the Wraith King works pretty well here because he can shrug off that silence pretty well. You can prevent the stun, but using that time frame to actually burst him down magic damage wise, he won't really care too much. He's got 2 lives, he's got a lot of durability, and even a supportive status for him would work pretty well. But we have seen Lance pick up the Wraith King as a core hero, so still some flexibility in that mindset, and we'll see what they combo it up with.
Mirana, yeah, good possibility for Arrow, live up to their name a little bit. But the Bristleback for MSI doing things a little differently, and now the Gyrocopter. So 2 heroes that we might not have expected to be picked up here, not so popular in this meta, but still pack a punch in their own right. Most of the time we've seen Bristle recently, it's been paired with a Wisp, which I don't think MSI will go for here, but still just some food for thought. He'll probably be headed to the off lane, and we'll see how they build the draft around him.
Yeah, that can be really wild, seeing what the Bristleback can accomplish as far as physical damage output, just getting the quill sprays out frequently, and they can chase to no end. With the Viper, with the Bristleback, if they actually start winning a fight, they're certainly going to be able to end it, because they have so much chase potential here with the Wisp. But the one thing they are kind of lacking right now is healing. IO is really great in the midst of the fights, when he's able to just go ahead and use Magic Wand, use Bottle, use Mechanism, and bring his tether target up. But there's not that many spells that are going to be cast out. Like there'll be one or two from each hero in a tri-lane, but it's not going to be like guaranteeing them sustained regen for the Bristleback. He's going to be very careful about how he positions himself, and worse, the IO might actually get picked off if he's not careful. The Wraith Fire Blast into Cold Feet, a pretty good stun combo if they go that route, and it looks like it is going to be a supportive Wraith King as that Gyrocopter will be taking the farm role.
Yeah. Interesting to see the Wisp. So we've seen this with a pretty high degree of success, actually, in aggressive tri-lanes. On the Radiant side, they'll be headed up top, and the big mistake that teams make is trying to man up against the Bristle with a Wisp tethered to him. He's pretty damn tanky already, and with all that extra regen, the Quills just stack up so much. And I don't know, maybe Arrow will be looking for someone a little more bursty, though Gyrocopter is one of few heroes that can actually do a lot of work against Bristle in the early levels of the laning phase with that Rocket Barrage before the Bristleback ability is actually completely leveled up.
Yeah, one thing that is worth noting is that the Ancient Apparition Gyrocopter synergy isn't as strong as it used to be. It used to be that Flat Cannon could actually apply Chilling Touch with its subsequent strikes, and now they have fixed that or reworked that. In either case, it doesn't apply that way. So Gyrocopter, he has to receive the negative attack speed every single auto attack until it gets that buff away, and that will be making it a little bit more difficult for him to get all that AoE damage output. So, just a minor shift there, but otherwise still a great hero that's going to work very well with the Wraith King's Vampiric Aura. In general, all of these heroes are actually pretty good at right-clicking and have good animations therein, so pretty high expectations for them to bring down their targets clearly. But this is an interesting pickup that we don't get to see often enough in my mind. Darkseer is one of Shanghai's best offlane options. Of all the heroes he plays Darkseer damn well. And with the combos that can make happen, the Ice Blast, the Gyrocopter Call Down, even later on DDZ will be able to go for the Meatball Deafening Blast. These combos set up by the Vacuum, it's a scary thing to go up against for any team, especially for MSI Evo.
And now the Earthshaker, their final choice. So I guess this means it's a core Skywrath here, which is a nice change of pace. Dendy's really the only one I've seen doing this on this patch. I'm sure other teams have been doing it intermittently, but it has really not been so common. So this will be exciting, Blaze.
Oh yeah, most definitely. There's going to be a lot of interesting things to talk about in this game here in particular. But the cool thing about Skywrath mid is he can kind of just dump his mana into the Invoker's health pool and force him to go for some early points at Quas. That means the Sunstrikes won't be as potent, the CS will be more difficult, and in general he'll gain a bit of control over the lane. But one thing they are going to be lacking is full control of the enemy right now. The Earthshaker's nice, but it's really their only hard lockdown. And they're up against a Darkseer who can provide surge to anybody that's getting hit by the Viper Strike, by the Viscous Nasal Goo, and get them out of a bad spot. So I honestly think if Shanghai makes his rotations at the right time, that MSI Evo might have some difficulty pinning down targets. And that makes the laning phase ever so important. They have to make sure that whatever they're doing with this Bristleback IO works fast and gives them momentum out the gate.
Yep, and we'll move into a pause to get things started here. I think the best way to deal with the Bristle IO is just to try to dodge it. I think the Darkseer is sort of, as you're talking about, is a really good tool for that. And I'm curious how exactly Arrow will set up these lanes, and if MSI will aggro try. I think they'll try and read. This is going to be one of those, like, they'll both try to read where the try lane is going to be, and it's going to be a bit of a crapshoot. Whether it's an aggro try with the Wisp, and that may be where they plan on going, but thinking Arrow might try to dodge it. Might put it in the safe lane to deal with their aggro try. I'm not articulating well, but I think you see what I'm going for here.
I definitely see what you're talking about there. The kind of musical lanes, dodging out. If they want to avoid the aggressive tri lane, it's kind of a 50-50 shot of maybe if they go aggressive themselves, they'll be able to at least avoid that matchup for one level. Obviously, where rotations come through, you might still see it in the end, but I honestly don't think Arrow are that bad off if they go against the Bristleback. It might be better for them to dodge it, but I think they can manage if they are forced into that matchup. If they focus down the Wisp with the Wraith Fire Blast, with their nukes coming in from the Chilling Touch, I think that they can actually get a kill on JYC fast enough that Jules can't really stand and deliver with his Quill Spray. And of course, it will only be level 1 at the earliest stage, so I think there's a lot of potential there. But of course, they will need Magic Sticks to deal with the Quill Spray spam, and they will need to have really good focus fire on the medic here, the little Wisp. And a Wisp is going to be going for a full bottle rush here. He got pooled a ward and a tango, but he does want to get that 650 gold early for a bottle as quick as can be. So he really is going to try to just focus on sustaining jewels as much as possible. We're going to see probably like a 1-1-1 build from him. It's maybe waiting for overcharge until level 4, but no matter the case, he wants it relatively early because he needs to keep jewels topped off. But the ward will come down, but the aggressive movement, if they can just hide in the tree line flank, they might be able to get the first blood here, and that would be a great way to start off this game for Arrow.
Yeah, most definitely. And they will hide in the tree line. Wisp and Bristleback need to be careful about their movements. They'll stay out of ward vision. And now Arrow will reveal him, or pardon me, Mosin will reveal himself. And the jig is up, as they say. Bristle and Wisp will be able to make it out safely. Meanwhile, in the top, Zhang Zai taking some harassment from Arcane Bolts. Still hasn't skilled up anything yet. He wants to grab Ion Shell, but waiting in case he needs that surge to get out of a kill-type scenario. And we'll just eat a tango and be A-okay to head to the lane. So it will be a safe lane Darkseer. In the mid, that puts DDZ on his Invoker. No surprise there. And will indeed be an aggro try from Arrow with the Ancient Apparition, Wraith King, and the Gyrocopter. Looking at the Dire side, or pardon me, the Radiant side, they're doing things a little bit differently. It is a 2-1-2 at least out of the gate. Skywrath and Earthshaker in the top lane. That puts Jotan mid on the Viper, and will just be a Bristle Wisp in the safe lane. And as I was talking about, when we've seen this Bristle Wisp strategy, it's almost always done in a tri-lane where they have kill potential. I don't think I've ever seen it executed in a dual lane 2-1-2 like this.
Yeah, I mean, it has its own values in some capacities, but we're going to see free reign for Mosin and Metelu to just kind of start roaming, flanking to gank, and finding opportunities. They are going to get the smoke off, unbeknownst to the side of MSI. Maybe Viper is a little aware of the potential, but not certain enough to be able to dodge this one out. If the Wraithfire Blast connects, the Cold Snap will follow. The waiting for Invokers level 2, and that's when they can go in. They can even go for the Tower Dive against this Corrosive Skin. Not often you get to see that, but in this case, they have enough magic damage. But in the end, they see how passive Jotan's can be. He's actually blocking out his wave in a secondary capacity to make sure that the Creequilibrium is on his steps, and he does not get caught out.
Yeah, it was an invisibility rune that they picked up, so he should have been pretty aware of it. And good positioning from the Viper. Down bottom, they do a lot of damage to the Gyrocopter and do repel him. But MSI looking for Arrow looking for a potential wraparound kill, and they'll bump right into Jules. Mosin has a Wraithfire Blast at the ready and no interest in fighting. We'll just turn an about face straight away as soon as Bristle turns his back. Meanwhile, top lane, Zhang Zai, they're thinking about closing in on him. Earthshaker's a great hero to try and deal with the Darkseer. Of course, Surge is his big escape mechanism, but if you lock him in with the Fissure, it doesn't matter how fast you're moving if there's nowhere for you to go.
Yeah. The Bristleback is a real core aspect of MSI's lineup. Like, he and the Viper kind of share the role as the anchor, where the team fight revolves around, but right now, the Bristleback's getting absolutely nothing from the lane. Like, he might get some experience, but he still is 0-0 for his CS. So as long as Gyrocopter gets free farm and the Bristleback can't do much more than essentially off lane in his safe lane, they're happy with it, but they actually might be able to get the kill here. As you said, that damage coming out from the Rocket Barrage is quite substantial. The Cold Feet combo comes through, and Lance picks up the first blood.
Yeah, Gyrocopter free farming, as you mentioned, and now with that first blood, he's in good shape. DDZ in the mid may find himself in some trouble, but he's on the other side of the Fissure. Oh, wow. That's so good for him and very unfortunate for MSI.
Yeah. It does have the boots, so I mean 330 MS is going to be a lot better than the 280 in that capacity of avoiding the wrong side of the tracks there, but the haste ring, you would imply that the Earthshaker should have been able to get in position to get it. Now the tower dive comes through down bottom. Cold Feet will connect, but he will get some Quill Sprays off during this dive. Still, it's going to be a successful kill on the side of Arrow. Mosin will tank the tower shots as all of them go in retreat. Actually, you just see Metelu still stuck under it, but if he just tangos through here, he could actually get out safely. Waiting for the creep wave, that works too.
Yep, either way, he'll be just fine. And now MSI are in big trouble. Wisp Bristleback is a good strategy, but very snowbally. Wisp is still level 1, so won't be finding level 6 anytime in the near future. He'll just now grab level 2, but still very far behind. Bristle, as you said, will find some experience, but he has one last hit. And Bristle is not a hero known for his late-game prowess unless he is mega farmed. We'll hold that thought because up in the top lane, Zhang Zai takes a fissure. Skywrath will man up on him. One more auto attack. Might be enough to bring him down, but no. The salve will heal him up as he surges away. And Zhang Zai will be able to survive as he fogs onto the high ground. Doing some fancy work around the trees. Handling himself well. Has another surge. Might still fall. Arcane Bolt will chase him down, and now nowhere for him to go. He'll have to move right back in, and I'm thinking about a deny there perhaps, but will fall.
So we're going to see Mosin make his rotation up to the top lane. I'm curious if they feel like they've gotten enough done against this Bristleback at this stage. Right now it's kind of a 2 versus 2 on the bottom lane. And while they did get some early kill momentum, there's still a lot of potential for Lance to go down here. Focuses the Wisp, though, the perfect target of choice. And getting a couple good flaks off, as well as the full Rocket Barrage onto the IO. He just manned up a little bit too hard, and the Phase Boots right clicks against a hero with 0 armor, obviously contributing quite a bit.
Yeah. No big surprise on that one. And now, do we even dare look at the net worth? Lance, almost 3,000 before the 5-minute mark. He is really getting out of control. The Skywrath is farming quite well, but up top, he'll get dove on by Mosin. Sunstrike flies through. That's a kill for DDZ. And that'll make it 4-1. Now, meanwhile, in the bottom lane, it looks like.
Oh, no, they're actually going to get the Earthshaker, too. The Iron Shell, the stun right clicks. Yeah, he actually was able to get him as well. So he just, Earthshaker was trying to pin him down in the tree line, and although he was in an aggressive position, it's still, it really doesn't seem like MSI Evo really understand where Arrow's damage is coming from. There is a lot of damage from these skills alone, and some of the items that we have already seen picked up, and yeah, they're just not respecting that and are taking a lot of unnecessary deaths.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
And now things looking even more grim. I was just commenting on the Skywrath Mage and how he's farming very well. He's kind of that saving grace for MSI and still in okay shape in terms of net worth, but now rapidly falling behind and still not quite level 6. This Gyrocopter, he's just going to go Phase Boots into a Helm of the Dominator so he can start stacking up Ancients, get a little bit of sustainability with the lifesteal, and his farm will really accelerate once he starts utilizing that flak cannon.
So right now, Arrow are in a great position just to continue doing their individual play, but when they start team fighting is when they really start ramping up. There's a lot of potential here for them just clear people out with their ultimate usage, with the combo of the vacuum and the AoE, but if they're winning out in the individual aspects, if they're winning out just piece by piece across the map, not as a single unit, then they're looking really good. We actually see probably a courier snipe coming out from a Taylor. This poor little panda. Oh, actually,
is he gonna get it? I don't think he can. He doesn't have the damage.
Yeah, you can't actually do magic damage to it, so the Chilling Touch only made that more difficult for him. But still, the Wisp gets caught out. Lance will drop the call down. He will pick up the kill in the IO, and they look to dive once more.
Yeah, Sunstrike will come through, and DDZ will find a kill. Another 2-for-0 trade. Is it really 5 auto attacks from the Ancient Apparition to kill the Courier? I guess so, but wow.
Yeah, the flying one is significantly more tanky than the ground one, so it does take a lot by himself. And yeah, that's he just slowed down his auto attack speed too much. He didn't kind of.
I think even without the Chilling Touch, I don't think he would have gotten it.
It would have been close. He would have been like just out of range of the last auto attack probably. But yeah, there you go. They still pick up some nice kills, and they keep doing their thing. They actually just put this aggressive dire ward behind the tower. They're like, okay, we don't even want to push this tower. We're just gonna use it as a beacon for a free farm on the heroes as well as the creeps. But on mid lane.
Yeah, DDC takes a fissure, and the Viper Strike is there, but Mosin is already rotated, connects with a stun on Wisp, who's also taking tower shots. They'll make it a 1-for-1. DDC does fall to Joe Tan, pardon me. And now he'll get stunned.
Oh, the flying courier vision.
Tower, look at this. They're using the courier to much avail. It will survive, and Mosin, I don't think he'll be able to grab this kill. He's only level 5, doesn't have an ultimate. Will connect with the Wraithfire Blast, but Wisp is there with the tether, and finally MSI find a favorable exchange. It's a 2-for-1. And gets a much-needed kill on that DDZ Invoker.
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty huge right now, level 8, but he did get his Midas, and we'll be able to use that upon respawn. So still, it's been a long road to get the kill on DDZ, but the time that he got along that path has enabled him to just be in a great position to start steamrolling this game, even with that most recent death. Still, it's a win for MSI, and they'll take what they can get. They also finally get the Wisp to level 4, so he can actually use this bottle on himself and regen allies with the tether. That's pretty huge as far as the core component of the hero and what he can contribute to the team. But needs to rejoin some allies that will be able to take advantage of it, in particular the Bristleback, who might be dived on once more.
Yep. He is now level 6, has that point in Warpath, but with only a single value point in Bristleback, he still isn't really that tanky, and looking at his inventory, it is pretty sparse. Boots, Stout Shield, and Magic Wand is all he'll have to his name. He'll be able to live for now. How's Zhang Zai doing in terms of farm? Has himself a headdress, sitting level 7. So doing okay, manages to get the Surge off before he takes the silence from Skywrath. So all things considered, I think this Darkseer is having an okay time. 30 last hits compared to the 50 of Skywrath. He'll settle for that for sure.
Some nice stacking coming out on the side of MSI Evo, though. We do see on the western side of the Radiant Jungle, they do have a nice little triple stack of the hard camp, and their Ancients as well are at triple stack status. So Quill Spray is going to be able to farm those up very nicely in the near future. They're setting them up for great success, but it's still going to be a long road before they feel confident taking that without any interruptions.
Yeah, Lance has his Helm of the Dominator complete now, but still hasn't dominated anything. We'll see in the bottom lane, Bristleback takes a stun, call down, and that's a pretty easy kill on old Bristleback. DDZ finds a pickoff on the Skywrath Mage, and it looks like it was, I don't know, I guess that was just a Sunstrike kill. Totally
they used the
missed
wall
that one.
replica there, and they got the cold snap on top of it, so a lot of sources of damage, and he did use the Sunstrike as well.
Bottom lane, Viper Strike comes out onto MTR. They'll be there to repel Jotan for now. And MTR needs to be careful here. He has a Chilling Touch, so wants to come in to give that extra damage. And now we'll just TP home. Actually, he just uses a Cold Feet instead.
Wow, that Cold Feet is so lucky.
Out.
If they hadn't gotten that Cold Feet, I think Mosin would be dead right now. But he's still running. He's going to get the TP. The Fissure, not in time. And they will just be able to disengage in full. So, yeah, that Cold Feet, extremely fortunate because Viper's a hero that really will pursue you. And they haven't really joined up forces with the Darkseer to benefit from that surge too much. He did put 2 points in it, which I think is very warranted considering the skill set of MSI's lineup. But, yeah, is now starting to put points into the vacuum, which is going to allow him to start working with his team a lot more effectively. They can consider early Roche, but at least for now they are lacking the Medallion, I believe. Yeah, only the mech build-up coming out from the Darkseer. So going to be a slow one if they do go for it, but at least for now they're pretty confident in where they are as a team.
Yeah, now DDZ with sort of an interesting item build. He has just a Vitality booster for now, and that makes me wonder, is this an Atos rush? I feel like it almost has to be. Certainly not rushing a Heart, not a Vanguard.
That's an interesting decision. Trying to think of the value of that when you have all of this control already, but I guess it's just to kind of get in on multiple targets and not just the one, because essentially you're already going to get like a guaranteed lockdown on somebody that's Wraithfire Blast, Cold Snapped, or just a Cold Feet Cold Snap is actually really good. But in this case, yeah, I kind of think that he just wants a little bit more durability, some good raw stats to work with, and yeah, the extra slow could be giving them a secondary kill in a lot of situations. So sets up his forward spirits for success. He did go for that 4-0-4, now ranking up Exhort, and yeah, he's just going to try to make sure that his summons can do work.
Yeah, definitely. Gyrocopter now has a pretty big Ancient stack here. He'll do one more, and that will take it to, I think, a 5 stack here. 3 Golems and 2 Lizards. We'll have Flat Cannon once more, and this is going to be a huge boost to farm for Lance. He's at about 6K before he started bringing these down, and actually maybe a little bit lower than that, maybe 5,800. So huge gold gain for him. Now Zhang Zai finds a mechanism on the Darkseer, and him and Mosin will be up top just ready to set up a gank onto Jules, who's still just desperately trying to find this recovery farm. He's picked up the Belt of Strength, moving into some power treads most likely, but still just scraping the bottom of the barrel for anything he can find.
Yeah. I mean, the Viper and the Skywrath Mage are doing pretty well in terms of core heroes, but they need Jules to really get up there in terms of general effective HP and long-term contributions, like getting higher points in his warpath. So he needs to survive through the fights is the bottom line to get the experience advantage back in his favor. And yeah, obviously the Quill Spray stacks will help out. Nice combo there. It's going to be the Ice Blast and the Sunstrike to bring down that Skywrath Mage on the bottom lane, and that's a pretty big kill for the Invoker. Obviously, he doesn't need it necessarily, but that finishes up his Atos. He's up to level 11.5 and is going to be able to break out through that massive trench of the 2200 level 11. So building that up, he's going to be able to get more points, and his orbs perhaps put a point in Wex before finishing off Exort. In either case, getting some more potential spell damage.
Yep. Well, things starting to look a little more rough for MSI now. 7,500 gold and experience in the favor of Arrow. Mid lane, we'll see Jotan just barely survive. And pops the mech. Now they'll turn it around under DDZ as the Wisp comes in. And they'll find a free kill there. Ice Blast flying through will be completely off the mark. A close call, but does not hit any of the heroes. I don't think any of them were close to shatter range anyhow. Lance will secure the tier 1 tower kill in the bottom lane, so at least they get something out of that rotation towards the mid lane, but yeah, not excited about conceding a death on their DDZ Invoker. Now Mosin, surged up, will press forward, connects with the stun onto the Viper. He does have mech in 15 seconds. Ion Shell doing a decent amount of damage. A nice fissure will split things up. Mosin caught on the other side, but he is slowed down a fair bit. Another stun. Ion Shell is expired, and Wisp will be there with the relocate. A close call, and Wisp will keep him alive. Now maybe they can just grab a kill on the Wisp as he comes back. Will he bring the Viper with him? They're still tethered up.
Radiant's middle tower is
yeah, he brings Viper right back with him. Full health, full mana. Mosin in the front lines will get mech'd up to survive. And call down, secures this kill on Jotan. It looks like Cold Feet will proc. And yeah, down he goes. Darkseer gets credit for that one. And it will be a 1-for-1 for now, but oh, in comes the Skywrath Mage and Mystic Flare enough to bring down the Darkseer.
This is dangerous.
But yeah, he bumps right into Lance. Rocket Barrage and Cold Snap, more than enough to bring him down. Now it's a 2-for-1 as MTR tries to TP home, and what a close call. About 40 HP to spare, and he will make it out by the skin of his teeth.
Yeah, that was a really close call in a lot of regards, but I think the decision there to bring back the Viper was a really poor one because, okay, that's a hell of a Sunstrike. Nice. But, yeah, just bringing back the Viper there, he was talking, pretty much communicating with his team saying, yeah, I've got mech, let's do this, but the Ice Blast was a given. You have a position where you're guaranteed going to be bringing people back to, so the Ice Blast connects, the mech is pretty much useless, and it's just losses all around. We're going to see the Ice Blast connect on JYC, not going to bring him down, but unless the Sunstrike comes through, he's trying to juke and jive. The Sunstrike does go out. Oh, wow. That would have been an incredible prediction if it did connect. But in the end, he just bottles up, and he's going to look to maybe relocate again. No, they don't really have an aggressive stance, as we do see the flank come in from Arrow.
Yeah, they'll go on the MTR, caught in the Mystic Flare, survives the initial burst of damage, and now the Skywrath Mage, the Cold Feet procs, out comes the call down, and the Skywrath Mage will not survive, nor will he grab a kill. Now a nice vacuum from the Darkseer, doesn't have a wall to follow up, about 7 seconds until will come off cooldown. The Ice Blast flying through, Sunstrike comes in, will connect on Jules, and that secures the kill on the Bristleback. Meanwhile, outside of the Ancients, Jotan trying to TP home, just barely lives as Lance stands his ground and lays into him.
And just DDZ with these Sunstrike plays all day long. They had to contest that realm because they did put so much time into stacking up that Ancient Cap for the Bristleback, so they did really feel like they had a huge stake in that, and they wanted to try to control that region, but Lance is still able to just farm up the enemy Ancient stack, and he hasn't even tapped into his own. This guy is 10.7k net worth, and he still has this at least quad, if not quint stack for himself at the Ancients that he's going to tap into now. Has the lifesteal, has the flat cannon, and yeah, he's going to have an MKB here at like the 20-minute mark. That's
this is a 5-stack. It's a triple golem, and now 2 dragons and a set of drakes. Is it triple golem? I can't tell. When it gets that stacked up, it's just too much.
Trying to call it. Shangzai going to try to follow up the Ice Blast with a vacuum, but can't get in range just yet. So unfortunately, it's just going to be the death of the DZ Invoker. Man, he's made some great offensive plays, but he has been picked off quite a bit this game. Yeah, he is definitely the highest on the death count for the side of Arrow. Next to the Wraith King here, he's at 3 as well. I guess he has died once more with Reincarnate, but that hardly counts now, does it? Now we see Taylor getting dived. He doesn't have the Ice Blast just yet. It's going to be hard to turn this around, and Lance isn't ready to engage. He's been busy farming, and he's not in the great HP position. Still will pick up a kill on JYC. No, the mechanism from Jotan just barely in time. JYC will survive, and Lance just happy to walk away with that stack. So technically a loss as far as the kills go, but when you consider the fact that they were able to take the enemy stack and their own, still in a pretty good position here. Shangzai looking for the follow-up vac wall after the Ice Blast, but the Ice Blast only hit on the one here you don't really care for, the Viper.
Yep.
Nice snipe, though, from DDZ.
And Voker gets another freebie with that Sunstrike, and they'll defend this Tier 1 tower once more. Bristleback has picked up an 18-minute Vanguard, so getting anything he can to try and tank up. And normally I'd say, oh, this is a bad sign, and it certainly is a bad sign, but given the start that Jules had, he just needs something to try and survive, and I think this is a step in the right direction.
Well, we're actually going to be looking at Roche pretty soon here. The Force Spirits will be able to tank up quite a few shots, deliver a lot of physical damage, and they certainly are in a good position as far as just in general control over the pit. Earthshaker can't really engage without a Blink Dagger, and yeah, they can just, even without these wards up, they are going to scout with a Force Spirit now. They're pretty confident here. They don't have like a medallion, the Melting Strikes don't apply to Roshan, so it's going to be a little slow going, but they get the Alacrity up, and Lance just will lifesteal away.
Yep. Can you imagine if the Forged Spirits stacked up the minus armor on Roche? How it's ridiculous that would be. Did it used to work that way, or was it always such that?
As far as I know, it was always on heroes, and they do have a limited mana pool. They can only apply so many stacks of Melting Strikes, but it would still be absurdly like strong. It would still be like at least a dozen stacks of that. So top lane, they're going to get the relocate off. Mosin will be going down, but you know, relocating in for the support Wraith King is not necessarily the kill you want to be looking for. It's positive
out here. They want to kill, and beautifully timed by DDZ. As soon as the Wisp comes back, he doesn't even have a second to react. I like that timing there.
So top lane is what they're going to be looking to push towards. That's if you make a relocate play like that, you need to follow it up with something. But right now we're just going to see Jules kind of solo pushing, and this tower is definitely not going to be going down anytime soon.
Yeah, certainly not. Now the MKB is complete on Gyrocopter, though. Now we talked about that on Lance, and look at this. Almost... God, he just hits so hard already. And he also has a BKB to boot. This guy is so farmed for 20 minutes. It's actually ridiculous.
Like, that is probably the most farm you'll get on a Gyrocopter in any possible game. It is absurd. 7-0 and 4, 150 CS. Lance is just out of his mind. And, yeah, I think they've been still, like, keeping the enemy locked down as well, actually, top lane.
Yep, Fissure to start things off. Jules wraps around the backside. Mech is used to start things off, but a big dunk from the Earthshaker will secure the kill onto Darkseer. The Silence also helping out quite a bit. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Wisp will fall solo to Lance. I don't know what the Wisp is doing there by himself, but it will be a 1-for-1 across the map.
Yeah, this is awkward. You get into this mindset at a certain point in the game where you've just fed so much, it almost feels like your life doesn't have any value, and you're just like, okay, I don't even care what happens to me. But you get in that state of mind, you lose a lot of extra lives, and we do see actually up on top, Jules might be able to get a lot of damage on Mosin, but he's still taking too much from DDZ. There's that combo, the Meteor, the Deafening Blast, the Sunstrike, and the death of Jules' Bristleback.
Yeah, down bottom, Lance actually did fall for the first time, and that'll proc the Aegis of the Immortal. Uses his BKB, and that's the 10-second charge. We'll find nothing out of it. Trying to use it aggressively, but good positioning from MSI will keep them alive. Now the relocate forward with the Viper. Lance will just turn and do as much damage as he can to the Wisp, and will find the kills. Ancient Apparition comes in, but it will cost him his life, and Skywrath Mage getting an 1,100 gold bounty for ending the streak of that Gyro. Now MTR will TP to safety. But wow, this Skywrath Mage feeling some new income, and that'll secure his Rod of Atos.
Yeah, so a lot is going to be on Biobus from this point forward as far as just making big things happen with the income he's achieved. As far as just talking in a general game sense, not exactly particular to this one, but in general, I actually feel that core Skywrath Mage can be actually one of the hardest late game carries you can have. When he gets fully 6-slotted, the Aghanim Scepter plus like Scythe of Ice and all these other things, it's absolutely insane. We almost never see it realized, but seeing Dendi get 6-slotted by farming up like 300 creeps on the Skywrath and then just putting it into the enemies, like BKBs will only do so much. Like obviously it nullifies it for the duration, but you can only have so many charges, you can only have such a long duration, and the moment those BKBs are away, that Skywrath is out to play, and he can just do so much work. So yeah, we'll see some progression in that respect, but right now it's just going to be the Force Staff, the Rod of Atos to control the fights and to try to set up their team for success.
Mosin up top, now level 11, and does have a Reincarnate. Finally, you know, it feels like after that first time he procced the Reincarnation, he died like 2 or 3 times after that while it was stuck on cooldown. So now he's gotten over that first hurdle, and his life will get a lot easier. Once more, Arrow taking out the Radiant Ancients that are stacked up. Only a double stack, but DDZ will take the bulk of the farm and leave a couple of the small dragons behind as he lets his Forged Spirits clean it up. Now MSI smoke up, they rotate through. They had vision of him farming the Ancients, perhaps hoping to catch DDZ out. And now we'll just rotate towards the top lane. Arrow in a good position to take a fight here, with all 5 of their heroes rotating over as well.
Maybe.
More about finding the opening. Who's going to get it? Jules in the side. They don't see him.
YND has a blink dagger now, so if they drop the wall and Earthshaker's not in it, he can blink slam so hard on all those illusions and all of Arrow's heroes. We'll see how it transpires, but they almost want to bait the wall on a couple of their heroes to try to go for that big slam. But now Jules, he's the bait, but is it going to be enough? He's dropping so quick, and the defensive relocate forces out Lance's BKB unnecessarily.
Yeah, I guess that was a good play to waste the BKB charge. Will the Wisp bring back the Bristleback? I think he has to, and Ice Wall's there. Ice Blast to fly through. Will connect on quite a few. There's your wall vacuum. In comes the Earthshaker looking for the dunk, but well, he uses it, and it's just too little too late. Finds a kill on the Darkseer, but his team's already taken huge damage. Sunstrike flies through onto the Viper, and that'll proc the reincarnation. Is now Skywrath Mage, the lone survivor. He'll get cleaned up once the Yule Scepter is done, and it will end as a 1 for 5 and a reincarnation.
Yeah, absolutely brutal. Just doing too much right now. The Ice Blast especially, it was like perfectly on point. The Ice Wall, they couldn't retreat, and yeah, they just couldn't get any control over that fight. Great plays from Xiangzai in general, but they made it look easy with that Blink Dagger on the Darkseer. You can get in for that perfect vacuum, perfect wall, and people just fall. Now we see the Alacrity on the Gyrocopter doing some work. Anytime the BKB isn't involved, he can be just buffed up, dishing out a lot of right-click, and because it's primarily Exort based right now, it's just giving him the stat that he really wants, which is that attack damage.
Yeah, Gyrocopter now up to another 4,000 gold, and just glancing at the overall net worth chart here, yeah, about 16,000 in the favor of Arrow and 20,000 experience. They'll just move into this mid-tier 2, and following that successful team fight, it looks like they'll get 3 towers out of it in exchange. Won't be denied as the Forge Spirits come in for the last hit. And Arrow, they seem like they could take another fight here. Call down to get things started. Cold Snap onto the Skywrath, but he will make it back to safety, at least for now. Viper taking that heat-seeking missile, and he just gets melted. Viper, usually a reasonably tanky hero, but here he just can't take the pressure.
They tried to go for the defense to relocate, but not only did he drop too quickly, but he would have died in Fountain to the damage over time effects, to the shatter effects. And yeah, we'd actually see an interesting maneuver there. The vacuum, the wall, a huge play from Xiangzai. They followed up with the Deafening Blast, but can they get any more? They want this kill on the Earthshaker. They will get it. And now the Atos comes out onto BYB. Bozy gets the stun on Jules. This is going to be a full 5-man wipe. They're all dead. It's a triple kill for the godlike DDZ. And the racks are forfeit here. This might be the game breaker here, man.
Yeah, even if they don't tap out right here, it certainly is back-to-back full team wipes. 3 towers, soon to be 4 once this tier 3 goes down. MSI have a glyph, and they don't even really seem to care all that much. They'll finally use it, and buyback status looking very bleak. Not a single Radiant hero has it, and all 5 of Arrow do have a buyback at the ready. They'll be happy with the tier 3 tower, and they will back up for now, but how do MSI start climbing this hurdle they've set before themselves? Over 25,000 golden experience now in favor of Arrow at the 26-minute mark.
I think they need to just make a wish, find a fairy godmother to give Bristleback some items, because right now he's sitting on Treads, Vanguard, and Assange. What is a Bristleback going to do with Treads, Vanguard, and Assange? Maybe if this was 10 minutes in the game, that'd be something, but right now, he's just like playing with sticks and stones, and Lance has got an AK. He's just dropping these huge sources of damage. Like, he hits for 300 before the Alacrity comes into play. And this Bristleback just can't compete with that.
Yeah, he's basically bringing a pocket knife to a airplane. This is just, oh man, it's a disaster. It's a bloodbath. My eyes, stop the madness. MSI, they're just getting cleaned up here. There's really not much they can do. They're just so underfarmed at this point. Lance is so huge. Now has a complete butterfly. We'll just press forward into the base. The vacuum back from Xiangzai. The wall secures the kill on Wisp. Jules has his back turned. He's trying to make it back to the base. Will the Sange be enough, Blaze? Maybe. He makes it to the well. He lives. But for how long is the question. Xiangzai blinks out of the base. Even forces a TP to the bottom tier 3 tower. Meanwhile, top lane of racks under pressure as the tier 3 tower goes down.
Top tower has fallen.
Yeah, this is where they just start dropping. The racks will fall. There's nothing they can do. Mosin has a reincarnate, so he can stay on the front line. And Telu just got his Ice Blast back off cooldown, so the next fight they try to contest might be their last here. They're going to see the T. That's an interesting TP. Could have walked there probably in the 3-second span, but now he's raring to go.
Yep. Okay, there's a dunk. Does a lot of damage to Mosin, but that's it. Maybe they'll find a kill on the Wraith King, but he even has a reincarnation available. Earthshaker just gets turned around, relocate back to safety, and at least the Wisp is going to die here. Will he bring a tethered buddy with him? The buddy system blaze. Ice wall. All right. He's got Joe Tan. Wisp does not live for long, and nor does the Viper. There's the GG from MSI, and Arrow Gaming with a very, very convincing win.
Yeah, this is absolutely insane what they were able to accomplish on both Lance and DDZ. Yeah, there were a few deaths here and there, but in general, just some great play from Arrow as a team. They shut down that tri-lane down bottom, or that dual lane rather, and they were just able to get so much control over the map. If it wasn't for DDZ's Sunstrikes picking off the Wisp, like so many different times, he has 11 deaths by the end of it, then maybe they wouldn't have had so much momentum behind them. But as it was, Arrow were able to win bottom, destroy mid, and Darkseer got the items he needed to make his contribution for the rest of the game. In the end, the big KDA here is actually Metelu with 4-0-15. What a player.
Yep, absolutely. Not much more add to this one, Blaze. We'll have one more game coming up. It'll be IAP versus Myth Trust, scheduled to start in about 15 minutes. So we'll have a short break, and then our last game of the night for Starladder SEA coverage, Day 17, coming up.